Hello, welcome to my series of videos on my book Philosophizer's Bible. This is the 15th video, the 15th chapter, and the title is Infidel. And you might possibly guess what this is going to be about. When I looked at this chapter, I realized I would have to add another tag to the tags on this particular series of videos. I have philosophy, existentialism, metaphysics, which are very general tags, but they seem to be fairly descriptive. And I added the tag theology, because it occurred to me that what I am doing is theology. Even though I'm on record as saying that I would kill God if I had a big enough gun, I consider that a perfectly reasonable statement for a certain kind of theologian to make. My kind, that is. So that's obviously very arguable, and I will say something about it in this chapter, and you can draw your own conclusions. A warning, health warning, I'm going to be rude about religion. I'm also going to be not rude about religions that people are very rude about, generally. And either of those things might offend you. But if you are offended, consider perhaps why. Why are you offended? What exactly is it that gets your goat? But at the end of the day, if I've got your goat, it doesn't bother me. Really, it doesn't bother me. You are entitled to your opinions, and I'm entitled to mine. Infidel. The desire to get rid of God. What is that all about? It will be easy to dismiss this as Oedipal, the fantasy of murdering the cosmic parent. But it seems too real for that. While some atheists are content to live and let live, others are justifiably outraged by the respect given to religion by politicians and media pundits, not to mention the protections enshrined in law in the UK, for example, which pose a genuine threat to anyone who wishes to mount a strong condemnation of a particular religion or its followers. And that's a very topical issue, which we won't go into. Imagine a TV news reporter saying to an archbishop who has just made some lofty pronouncement on the moral state of the nation, "Prove to me there's a God, or shut your gob." That would make me smile. Although my joy would be tinged with sadness at the thought that a talented journalist had just ruined his or her career, made it impossible to be employed in any media organisation now or forever in the future, a pariah. The hypocrisy of it. Just for fun, I would love to invent a new religion, like Christianity or Islam. The core principle of my new religion is that all other faiths are heretic, infidel, doomed to hell, marked for destruction. As my new religion gains ground, places of worship are ransacked, ministers of religion rounded up and imprisoned, or forced to take menial jobs, preferably where they have as little contact with other human beings as possible, so as not to infect others with their heretic beliefs. Of course, it's been tried before. In Soviet Russia, for example, back then, Marxist history, quote-unquote, was the new religion. Then Hitler invaded, and Stalin belatedly discovered the power of the Orthodox Church in giving the masses courage in their hopeless situation, or so the cliché goes. Then there's revolutionary France. The ultimate irony, they abolished the Church and substituted a religion of the Supreme Being, a religion of reason. How irrational is that? You human apes are pathetic. Humans can't be saved, not by religion, not by the destruction of religion. Are the apologists for religion really saying that Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, and all the rest are beyond criticism? How about Scientology? What about Satanism? The first contact I had with Satanism was when someone came to me wanting to be a student of Pathways to Philosophy, informing me that he was a priest of the Temple of Set. I had no idea what he meant, So, as you do, I looked it up on the internet and came across a Satanist website. It was just what you'd expect of any web page promoting some cause or interest or religion, saying how great it was to be a Satanist and all the advantages of Satanism, and of course, as you'd also expect, how Satanists have been sadly misunderstood all these years. What I grasped from a closer reading, however, was that the main selling point of the Satanist religion is that their God is a finite deity, not an infinite God. The Satanist deity is not all-powerful, just much more powerful than human beings. A deity that is just much more powerful than human beings represents a kind of inspiration, a model to look up to as we strive to better ourselves. That's what it's all about, self-improvement, right? The Satanist deity doesn't have the final answer to the ultimate questions. Our ultimate fate is not up to Satan, it's up to us. Isn't that a worthy conception? All sorts of consequences follow from this. A deity that is not all-powerful can be killed, or the deity can be replaced by another deity, one that is more powerful, or just one you like better. Sure, a theologian can object that no deity that is capable of being bettered is worthy of worship, which is how the prophet Elijah proved, supposedly, his case against the prophets of Baal. But then again, originally, the God that led the children of Israel out of Egypt is not described in the Torah as infinitely powerful. The notion of infinity had not even been conceived at that time. He was just the one God, the God who was more powerful than any other deity. It's a debated question whether the one God of the pre-Socratic philosopher Xenophanes was inspired by stories of the Hebrew God, or whether he reached his conclusions independently. Either way, the point is that the more like us a deity is, the harder it is to see it as an entity worthy of worship. Hard, but not impossible. And Xenophanes said that horses would make a god that looked like a horse, etc. So we just, we make the god in our own image. For me, the thought of a god that is infinitely powerful is simply appalling. You or I have no chance whatsoever. Faced with an infinite power, the notion that such a god is or can be forgiving, quote unquote, provided that you are God-fearing, provided that you bend the knee, indoctrinate your children, perform the necessary rituals or whatever, is even more frightful. If I was going to be religious, I would prefer a religion like Scientology or Satanism every time. But now a different thought occurs to me. Isn't being a philosophizer a kind of religion? And is that so bad? Oh dear, somebody's cutting a hedge, so I have to put up with the noise. See, God did that, right? He's trying to distract me from my video. Why not? Unlike the Scientologist or Satanist, or a certain variety of 1960s God-is-dead Protestant theologian, we philosophizers maintain an absolute and irrevocable respect for the transcendent, or what I described as the cosmic stop sign. Knowing that there is something I cannot know is in the sense of existence, makes it impossible now and forevermore to accept mundane discourse, all that relates to the world or what is the case, as representing the whole of reality. There is more. This is the thing that fills us philosophizers with wonder. The thing we strive to see and understand better or in different ways, despite the impossibility of penetrating into its ultimate mystery. Wittgenstein's mystical, except that we refuse to stay silent about it. This is the whole deal. This is what, for us, turns everything, the world, the entire universe, upside down. All I have to do is say, I exist, and I am right there, right at the edge of the mundane world. I know absolutely and without doubt that no mere world could make me, no Big Bang and no God either. Not even an infinite God, whatever that would mean. So, yes, if you want to be a philosophizer, then before you can advance to that stage, you have to get rid of God. For all we know, there may be godlike beings in the universe. Maybe one of these beings created our world. Should we be thankful? Of course not. We weren't given the choice, were we? I don't ask my children to thank me for impregnating their mother. Some fathers do. Shame on them. There is nothing in the world or out of it that is worthy of worship. We philosophizers do not bend the knee. We have no respect for any concept or entity that humankind has devised other than the cosmic stop sign, the absolute limit to our mundane knowledge. Blessed silence. I hope that hasn't completely ruined the video, that sound, because I hate to do videos again and I hate to edit as well. Once I get going, it's the first take or nothing. I wonder if God felt that way when he made the universe. Oh shit, made a mistake there, never mind, let's just carry on anyway. Too late now, I'm not going to do it all again. What do you think? Got other things, I've got better things on my mind, than to try to do the world again after I've made a mistake. No, but seriously, isn't it the very definition of idolatry to worship something that you've created? And the God that people worship, when they go to church or synagogue or mosque or whatever, is something they've created. A picture in their brains, that's all. And I guess my biggest, if you want to just go very, very general about this, the idea that there is some ultimately beneficent source of being, source of the being of the universe, the source of my being. There it goes again. He doesn't like that, does it? It's completely empty. What is good? What is bad? These are just things that, these are just labels that human beings use. What's good for us is bad for someone else. And Heraclitus said that. I don't believe the source of being, whatever that would mean, is either beneficent or maleficent. It isn't anything. It's unknowable. It is simply unknowable. And if you want to be a good person, I think that's a great idea. I think it is. I think it's rewarding. It's personally rewarding to aim to be better. And there are perfectly practical, empirical, mundane reasons for doing the decent thing rather than doing the dirty. But the idea that the universe itself is good makes no sense at all to me. But I respect the transcendent. And that is what makes me, according to my definition, religious in my own way. And a lot of people who say they believe are irreligious. Because their God, their religion is just some picture in their heads. It isn't real. It's just something they've invented. They're idolaters. We'll leave it there for today.